Toledo Ted reporting here for the Revenue Bucket Challenge 2018. Wanted to share a topic that I briefly mentioned at our sales meeting when we were talking about personal skills that we possess. I referred to it as politicking at the time, but what it is basically bridging, commonly known as bridging or controlling the conversation to keep the line of questions going as you want to, and ultimately working towards what we want out of that sales call, which is an opportunity. So I learned this technique in kind of my previous life, and I remember I was selling cars for a period of time, and our used car lot had no pricing on any of the used cars, so it would be your chance. You'd be up and you'd go running out there after customers, and sometimes they get out of their car, sometimes they just drive away from you. It's kind of rude in my opinion, but it would happen. So but occasionally they get out of their car and you'd introduce yourself, and they'd be looking at whatever it was, and what do you think the first question out of their mouth was? How much is it? And being a salesperson, you want to answer their question, so oftentimes you would respond with what seemed natural, which was, sure, let me go get you the price, or yeah, it's this price. You'd want to tell them a price and answer their question. But when you answered the question, 9 times out of 10, what do you think they said to you at that point?
Really?
They said, it's too much. It's too much, no matter what the price was. And why was that? And because it had no value at that point. It was just metal and rubber at that point. So I learned something right then and there that I kind of translate over to rain for rent on a day-to-day basis and think it really works. So I'd like to share that with you. So what I would say to them at that time, the top guy at the dealership told me what he would say. And he would say, hey, I'm happy to get you the price of the car, but why don't we go drive it first? Because if you don't like the way it drives, it really doesn't matter how much it costs, right? 9 times out of 10, you were then driving, which was the value. They're in there smelling it. Playing with the buttons is obviously an upgrade from what they have. So that was where the concept came about. How it translates over to rain for rent is this. We oftentimes get asked for the price of things. We sell commodities, we rent commodities. How much is your tank? You might be calling on an environmental company and they would say, how much you rent tanks for? How much you rent boxes for? And you want to answer, but what I've started to do more and more consciously because of that lesson way back was I asked them a question, and I usually ask them something along the lines of, why? Do you have a project coming up? And they can go either way. Yeah, we do. We have something coming up where we need this, this, and this. Or they say no, and I just use them from time to time, or I use them, whatever. Either way, you don't really ever give a price. What I normally do then is say, hey, I'm happy to get you a price. Let me understand your scope of work if they do have a project coming up, and then I'll see how good we can do. I'll put together a proposal for you, okay? And they say, okay. If they don't have a project, I just simply say, okay, great. The next time you have a project, let me put together a quote, a formal quote, see how good we can do. Same line, same word phrase. But you just simply don't have to pin yourself down to a price, which is the key. Because you really don't know the important things of the job, which are the scope. How many, how long, where, what. And those are the key things you have to answer before you start talking about pricing, as we know. So that's my lesson for the day. It's called bridging. I'd love to talk to any of you more if you'd like some additional word tracks on that topic. I think it's immensely helpful and keeps you in control of the conversation, which is the key. I'd like to nominate Mike Borns for the Revenue Bucket Challenge. So Mike, good luck with this. Hope it's warmer than it is here today when you dump in water. And if you listen to me at the sales meeting, I mentioned I have a lot of women in my life, of which all of them, just about, are going to pour water over my head. So
Yes!
let's just get to that.
Come on, Mia!
Good. Whoa! Give it to me. Come on, give it to me. I'll remember that, kid. And just remember, keep it in containment. Thank you.
Yeah!